Hi there, I'm Norma Strange. I'm the author of Life-Let-It-Flow-Effortlessly, and we're continuing our discussion here in the subhead title of it, like how being genuine creates real value. So we're diving into that section where we talk about creating real value in the book here, and I wanted to point your attention towards the value of learning. So a friend of mine was a nurse, and she shared with me the way that they teach in the nursing profession, how they can get duplication really easily. And since we're all trying to learn things and share that with other people, maybe, people in our family, people in our community, people in our teams or businesses, employees, whatever, we're trying to get that knowledge to go down. I don't know if you remember playing the telephone game, but when you share something to somebody else and how it gets diluted down the line, that's not effective, right? So we want to model the behavior that we want to be able to have it passed along so that people are permanently having good duplication. Because when you want to try to do something on a grassroots or a big scale, have it go out virally, you want it to be something that I can take in easily and I can share it really easily with someone else. That way it doesn't need facilitation or manipulation to have it be passed along to many, many people. And that's why viral passing along is so powerful, because it can get to everybody really, really quickly. So in that particular philosophy for that training that my friend shared with me, it was see one, do one, teach one. And basically, if I see you do something, then I can actually understand the technique, the behavior, the way things are done, not just what's said, but actually the whole environment of body language and the outcome of what we're trying to produce. Then as I've seen it, then I do one. And basically then after I've actually done it myself, what the way to anchor things in. If you've ever been learning or been in some training or teaching, mentoring with anybody, and really want to up your learning, your retention, is to go now teach it to someone else. So for those of you that are reading this book or learning about this and journaling through, having the book mentor you, which is what it was designed to do, go and teach it to someone else. Because as you're teaching them what you are learning and what you have actually retained, then as you're explaining it and teaching it to another, it's going to anchor it in, not only for you, but it's also going to have you see how easy it is to be able to lift and to transform others to a higher level of fulfillment and performance. And most people are looking for that. They're looking for freedom or fulfillment or to get more security in their life. And all these things come on a foundation of knowing who you are and understanding what your skills are and what you're capable of, so that you can go out and command better value. You receive value outside of you, what you believe inside of you, what value you believe you have. So that's what we're doing is in this work, we're building your value up. So you're understanding that you're priceless, you're brilliant, no one else is like you. And we're finding those unique things that you have to be able to bring to a collaborative community so that you can be able to have more fulfillment, have things flow effortless for you, have your job or your work or your relationships flowing effortless, having opportunities coming to you constantly without even anything having to do anything. You're being powerful. Once you're being that powerful you that you were created to be, now you can do the activities that you love or that you need to do for that particular profession, and then you can have the results of that. So be first, know who you are, do those things that you're gifted and skilled at, and then you can have the successes rather effortlessly. So in this model of see one, do one, teach one, see one, watch it be done, work with a mentor, coach, get someone to help you, be able to see how it's done, shadow them, notice them, watch them on videos, see how they do things. Then you go and do it yourself and work with being able to understand that if you're getting the right effect, you're getting good practice. But remember, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So as you're practicing it, make sure that if you're not getting the results you want, that you get some correction. Because you don't want to practice things that are ineffective, right? You want to practice things you want to make permanent. And then as you want to take it to another level, share your learning with others. Bring another person back to things that you've been looking at, or have them go through the same exercise you just did, and come back and compare things and be able to learn together. Because as you're teaching and learning, it's really effective at anchoring in things that you're starting to see, like, I really get this, or I really don't. I need help with this, or I can do this on my own. This is my gift or my genius. So be first, then do, then you'll have. That's the success formula. And as we look at any other things in here, I mentioned about practicing. Be careful not to practice things that are ineffective. Don't try to cut corners. Like, watch what everyone's doing. It's the tonality in this, and the body language and the sincerity of an invitation that attracts better people to you. It's not about trying to do the robotic scripts. It's about letting it be from your heart, authentic, your genuine self, inviting others to what you're trying to offer. And I like to kind of distinguish something, a couple different things, like learning instead of training. You know, training seems like training wheels, they're restrictive. Training, you know, like whipping a horse or something, I don't know. It just, training to me seems like, you know, it can get to be a little bit restrictive. Learning, I learn, I'm a life learner. Learning is fun. It's like the difference in selling and buying. I mean, no one wants to be sold, but everyone wants to buy. So think about learning, develop a learning attitude. You know, be able to create learning for your customers, teach people, you know, help them learn things, right? And then looking at it from a difference of even mentoring and teaching. I had the fortune of having an art degree. My teachers actually formed more of a mentoring relationship with me, where they were showing me things, they were working alongside me, they were seeing what I was doing, they were correcting things, and then they were allowing me to go do those things, right? So it was a mentoring process. They shared their wisdom, I modeled their behavior, and they were able to correct me and help me get to moving on. You know, if someone's teaching and they're just telling you a lot of facts and you have to memorize things and write down scripts and follow exactly the way they did it, you're going to miss out on all the human factor, the uniqueness of yourself. Mentors bring out great leaders. And teachers sometimes, and I'm not dissing the teaching profession, there's a lot of teachers that mentor well. Some teachers tell, and then they just get you to regurgitate those facts, and then you forget that and you move on to the next thing, and you're moving on through that learning process in a way that's very ineffective, because you're not gaining anything. You're just batting back what they've told you, and you don't know why those things are important. A great story that comes to mind is a silly little joke about a young woman who's looking at trying to cook a ham, and her mother says, you know, you got to cut the edges off of the ham. And she's like, what does that do? And she says, I don't know. Grandma always did that. She always cut the edges off the ham and it made it really juicy. So she puts it in the oven and she cooks it. Well, one day when Grandma's down, she's like, Grandma, why do we cut off the edges of the pan? Is that, you know, why does that make it so much juicier? She goes, that's not it. My pan was too small. So the grandmother cut her edges off of her pan because the pan was too small. The mom took that we had to cut the edges of the ham apart off of the ends. And she had a big enough pan probably by that time. And the grandchild asked the question, why do we cut the edges off the ham? And the mom said, well, it's because Grandma did that. The grandma did it because of a different reason. Mom didn't need to transfer that. That's how you could look at duplicating things that don't really matter or that aren't important, because you're throwing away waste and you're actually getting less. So it's really important when you look at what you're doing, why are you doing it? You know, what are you believing about that? And we dive into a lot of that inside this book. We dive into the lie inside of belief. Inside of BELIEF is LIE. In that center of there, let's make sure that what you're believing is true for you. Let's make sure you didn't just adopt it from generations that had smaller oven pans, right? So think about that. Just the differences in a couple of different ways of being and how you transfer that knowledge. That's important. That's important to be able to know. And then I can't express enough, controlling your emotions. Oh my goodness. You know, I've been certainly learning this one throughout my life. You know, I just misunderstand things sometimes, and my emotions will get the best of me. And so I've learned to be able to control those and suspend the emotions. But don't lock them down to where you don't share your emotions or let those emotions flow. Emotion is just energy in motion. So the E, energy in motion, you know, whether it's happy or sad or whatever, energy in motion, right? It's a good thing. We don't want to hold that in. I referenced in the book Captain Sully, who is the one who actually landed the plane on the Hudson River. But the interesting thing I thought in that whole story of rescue, not a single person was actually, no lives lost. Captain Sully commented that, you know, he didn't feel like he was a hero. He said that he commented that he just had to keep his emotions in check. He had practiced that particular behavior of landing on water time after time after time after time again. He had simulated these accidents ahead of time so that when the real accident came, he lost no lives and everybody was safe, because he was able to keep his emotions in check. That was the only thing that would have taken him out of course, because he'd already had the understanding and the duplicated learning that he had taken in. The only thing that's going to be the wild card then is your emotions. You know, if you're feeling inferior, or you're feeling like, whatever comes up as your negative energy, If you can't keep that in check in that moment, then he would have crashed the plane and probably a lot of lives would have been lost. But it's fascinating that he knew that he had practiced that. And not only that, he'd practiced how to keep his emotions in check and how to understand how not to let them run wild with him. So the value of learning is to be able to learn about yourself, learn the things that you can do uniquely, be able to learn where are these things important, what part of building teams or communities or adding to business or having a career is important with using my skills that I've learned or the things that I uniquely have. So finding places like that for yourself to fit in, right? Learning that value about yourself and being able to then do the actions to be able to add that to other places where it would be valuable. You're going to have a lot of fun with this, but the value of learning is starting with you and being able to duplicate it well throughout any kind of community or any kind of market set. Okay? So enjoy that, and I'll talk to you soon.